Savior Robert coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. A very good evening to you, and today on Worldview we will tell you all about Ukraine President Zelensky's first official trip outside the Kyiv region since the Russian invasion began on February 24. Selfless contributions towards the triumph of Ukraine is still the order of the day. This time, hundreds of Lithuanians are said to have contributed to a fundraiser to buy an advanced military drone for Ukraine in its war against Russia in a show of solidarity with a fellow country formerly under Moscow's rule. We have the details of this story in our catalog today. Elsewhere, we have a report on how Iraqis are still awaiting the country's politicians to form a government almost 8 months since parliamentary elections took place in the country. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Worldview today. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has visited troops in the Kharkiv region on the country's battered eastern front line. It was his first official trip outside the Kyiv region since the Russian invasion began on February 24. He was pictured in a bulletproof vest surveying ruins in Kharkiv city. Zelensky thanked the soldiers for their services and later sacked the local security chief for not defending the city. Russia has resumed shelling Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, in recent days after a fortnight of comparative quiet. The city reportedly faced intense bombardment in the war's first months, with images showing tower blocks flattened to rubble. Still in Ukraine, former President Petro Poroshenko, who is under investigation for possible treason in Ukraine, has been allowed to leave the country via a border crossing with Poland to attend a political meeting. Local media outlet Ukrainian Pravda reported the ex-president's departure today. It quoted Poroshenko as saying he was going to attend the summit of the European People's Party in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Away from that, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has dismissed rumors that President Vladimir Putin is unwell. Lavrov argued that Putin, who will be turning 70 in October, would not be making regular public appearances if he was unwell. British intelligence was quoted telling media outlets that the Russian president was seriously ill in the last week, amid increasing unconfirmed speculation that he may be suffering from ill health, possibly cancer. However, rumors about Putin's well-being have surfaced periodically for years. Meanwhile, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna is due to visit the Ukrainian capital Kyiv today for talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Foreign Ministry announced this in a statement. It said the minister was ready to show France's solidarity with the Ukrainian people and its full determination to reinforce its support from a humanitarian and financial point of view, as well as in terms of supplying defense equipment. The newly appointed minister will be the highest-ranking French official to visit Kyiv since the beginning of Russia's invasion. She is also due to visit the town of Bucha, where Russian troops have been accused of committing war crimes against civilians. Still on the war in Ukraine, hundreds of Lithuanians have contributed to a fundraiser to buy an advanced military drone for Ukraine in its war against Russia in a show of solidarity with a fellow country formerly under Moscow's rule. The target of €5 million was raised in 3.5 days in Lithuania, a country of 2.8 million people, largely in small amounts to fund the purchase of Bayraktar TB2 unmanned aerial vehicle for Turkey. Reports say the fundraising drive was launched by a Lithuanian internet broadcaster. In a related development, Germany has agreed to change its constitution to allow for a credit-based special defense fund of €100 billion proposed after the Russia-Ukraine conflict began. The German Finance Ministry announced the development. Germany's center-right opposition and ruling coalition with center-left Social Democrats, Greens and pro-business Free Democrats said they reached the required two-thirds majority to exempt the defense fund from a constitutional debt break. They said the money is to be used over several years to increase Germany's regular defense budget of around 50 billion euros and enable the country to meet the NATO target of spending 2% of its economic output on defense each year. In the meantime, EU ambassadors have again not reached an agreement about sanctions on Russian oil imports. Diplomatic sources stated this as they held a meeting in Brussels this morning after failing to find a way forward on a sixth sanctions package last night. Various options have reportedly been discussed in recent weeks, with the latest compromise plan looking at targeting seaborne oil first and leaving pipelines until later. Officials hope to reach a deal this afternoon when EU leaders gather in Brussels for an extraordinary summit. In another development, Turkey and the European Union will hold a political dialogue in Ankara tomorrow. The Turkish Foreign Ministry announced this in a statement today. The statement noted that the two sides would exchange views on Turkey-EU relations as well as regional and international issues.
Vice President Mogherini, Minister Çavuşoğlu, Commissioner Hahn, and Minister Çelik will briefly speak about.
Elsewhere, Israel and the United Arab Emirates will sign a free trade agreement in Dubai tomorrow. This was made public in a statement by Israel's Economy Ministry. The ministry said under the deal, customs duties will be eliminated on 96% of products, including food, agriculture, cosmetics, medical equipment, and medicine. It could be recalled that the UAE and Israel formally established relations in 2020 as part of the U.S. brokered Abraham Accords that also included Bahrain and Morocco. The trade deal is said to be Israel's first with an Arab country. Away from that, Iraqis are still waiting for the country's politicians to form a government almost 8 months since parliamentary elections took place in the country, with political elites unable to find an agreement. Reports say popular Shia religious leader Muqtada al-Assad, whose Sadrist movement emerged as the biggest party in the October elections with 73 out of 329 seats, has been working to try to put together a coalition but is still unable to do so. In al-Sadr's way is a rival Iranian-backed bloc, the Coordination Framework Alliance, which is the political umbrella for the largely Shia Popular Mobilization Forces militia. The alliance has boycotted parliamentary votes for a new president a number of times, demanding an agreement with the Sadrists that ensures the alliance will have a say in who is nominated for the presidency. From the Eurovision competition won by Ukraine, fresh reports have it that the Eurovision trophy has been sold to buy drones to fortify Ukraine's war. This and more after the break. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. We move now to Israel, where thousands of flag-waving Israelis have marched through Muslim areas of East Jerusalem's Old City in an event seen as highly provocative by Palestinians. This comes at a time of particularly high tensions following months of deadly incidents. The march celebrates Israel's capture of East Jerusalem in the 1967 war. Israel regards the whole of Jerusalem as its capital, something rejected by most countries and the Palestinians. The Palestinians claim Israeli occupied East Jerusalem as the capital of a future state of their own, ruled out by Israel, and political displays by either side are viewed by the other as direct challenges. President Xi Jinping has delivered written remarks to the second China-Pacific Island countries' foreign ministers meeting in Fiji. Underscoring the friendship between China and Pacific Island countries, Xi called the move an example of South-South cooperation and mutual benefit. Reports say Xi and counterparts in the 10 Pacific Island nations had failed to reach consensus at talks on a sweeping security and trade deal. It could recall that China and 8 Pacific Island countries elevated their relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership featuring mutual respect and common development during Xi's visit to Papua New Guinea in November 2018. Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi is in Fiji to attend the second China-Pacific Island countries' foreign ministers meeting. In the United States, the Department of Justice is set to investigate the police response to last week's mass shooting at a school in Uvalde, Texas, which killed 19 children and 2 teachers. Public anger is reportedly growing after it emerged that officers waited in the hallway as children trapped with the shooter made desperate 911 calls. President Joe Biden met the victims' families in Uvalde. He also met survivors and first responders. First Lady Jill Biden, who is also a teacher, accompanied the president to a memorial at Robb Elementary School. They were seen comforting the school's principal, Mandy Gutierrez, beside a carpet of floral tributes for the teachers and children, all on the 10 years old who lost their lives. To Shanghai now, where the authorities have announced that some COVID-19 lockdown measures imposed on businesses will be lifted from Wednesday. Plans have also been introduced to support the city's economy, which has been hit hard by the restrictions. The commercial center has been under a strict lockdown for almost 2 months. Meanwhile, China's capital, Beijing, has reopened parts of its public transport system, as well as some shopping malls and other venues as infections ease. The announcement in Shanghai came as official figures showed on Sunday that new daily coronavirus cases fell to 122 from 170 over the previous 24 hours. Officials said guidelines to curb the spread of COVID-19 and control the number of people returning to work will be revised. Finally, on Worldview, the murder of a singer in the northern Indian state of Punjab, a day after a security cover was trimmed, has sparked outrage. Shaldeep Singh Sindhu, popularly known as Sindhu Moosewala, was shot by unidentified people while he was traveling in the state's Mansa district on Sunday evening. He was 28. 2 others were injured in the attack. The murder led to a political storm in the state, with opposition leaders criticizing the government and police. State Police Chief Vik Boara had said on Sunday that a Canada-based gangster had claimed responsibility for the attack. And with that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTV.ng. I'm Xavier Robert, wishing you from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran, and you have been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.